Welcome to Gamer Station Indie Game News, and as always, I'm your host, Steven Snakeyuka Lindsay. Here's the news for the previous week in the indie game world. Cipher Prime, The Road Ahead. Cipher Prime behind Fractal and Auditorium recently made a blog post with 3 big announcements. First is that they're now switching from using Flash and moving to the Unity engine, and their upcoming game Pulse will be their first endeavor into the Unity waters. Second is that Fractal is coming to the iPad, which they previously said that they wouldn't be doing, but they changed their mind. As well as that, the game will also be later coming to PCs and Macs as an enhanced version. Lastly, is that if you bought Fractal, you will be getting the remastered version totally free! Testers wanted for Aquaria iPad. If you have an iPad and have the ability to write down notes about games, then BitBlot is now looking for testers for its iPad version of its game, Aquaria. All you need to do is PM Alec on their forum, which we provided a link below, and tell them why you think you would make a good tester. And also hope that you're chosen. Cave Story is coming to the 3DS. Cave Story is a classic 2D action indie game that was released back in 2004 for PC, and recently for the DSiWare and WiiWare. Soon it will be coming to the 3DS, completely remastered. Previous versions were sprite only, but the 3DS version will feature polygon created characters and will incorporate the abilities of the 3DS. The game will still play in its 2D gameplay style, but will feature improved graphics as well as improved music from the original 8-bit styles of music prior. This will also be the first time the game is being sold as a box copy. There are several screenshots showing a comparison between the way the levels used to look and how they will look like on the 3DS. It is being published by NIS, or maybe it's Niche, and no release date has been announced. Machination Kickstarter. Machination puts you in the shoes of a would-be evil genius who is part of FAUST, a group of evil geniuses. Your goal is to create different robots, which you do so by clicking on the parts that they're located on conveyor belts. The longer you take, though, the more likely these will break down, meaning you will have to work or pay to get them fixed. Also, you'll need to watch out for and capture the Tesla Rangers, who are the good guys and spies in this game. Your funding would help out with polishing the game and adding certain elements to the game. The game is slated to come out for all iOS devices sometime soon. Indie Game Challenge winners. The big winners for this year's Indie Game Challenge were Limbo and Inertia. Inertia won in the Best Non-Professional, Gamer's Choice Award, Achievements in Gameplay, and Technical Achievement Awards. Limbo won in the Professional and Achievements in Art Direction Awards. Also, Simon won for Congregate Award for Best Browser Game. Indie Game The Movie on track for September-ish 2011 release. Indie Game The Movie is a documentary that follows, talks to, and looks at several prominent indie game developers. Recently, they have asked people to recommend locations to show live recordings of their film, which would feature several special things that can only happen with a live screening. Recently, they announced that their film is on track for a release date for September, or around it. Also, the film is appearing to be about 10 to 15 minutes longer than they originally planned for it, which was 80 minutes. They've also believed they have created some story arcs in their film to help people stay longer and more involved in their film. Karoshi now on the iOS, soon the Android phones. I'm a huge fan of the Karoshi series. I have played and beat every single one multiple times, and now it's out on the iOS. The game features over 50 levels and will have some catchy music by Jake Almond. If you like me and love these games, you can pick it up now for 99 cents. Half-Life 2 mod Dear Esther receiving a standalone commercial release. Dear Esther, originally launched in 2007, is a mod to the game Half-Life 2, and even went on to win a few awards, and the developer even got a source license for a full independent release 2 years ago. They have currently teamed up with Mirror Edge's 3D environment artist Robert Briscoe to redevelop their mod. The improved mod will come out this year, and they believe the new game will take it to a completely new level. Pew 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 trailer. An interesting title for a game, which is probably something some of us have said in shooting games when we've played them. In this game, the point is to do, well, that exactly. The game is a two-player co-op game, which you control the character by using microphones. One player will say, pew, 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 and that will make the character shoot, while the other will say some type of jetpack-ish sound to control the jetpack. Possibly an interesting game you can play with your significant other if they're not that good at games. IndieCade submissions open March 1st. If you are an indie game developer and you're nearing completion of your game, maybe take a look over at IndieCade and submit your game. Submissions are allowed from March 1st to May 31st. They allow late submissions from June 1st to 12th, but for an increased fee to enter. For all the rules and info, head over to their site, which we have below. Rock, Paper, Shotgun interview with Zeboyd. Recently, Rock, Paper, Shotgun sat down with Robert Boyd of Zeboyd Games. This led to discussion of their upcoming enhanced version of their game, Cthulhu Saves the World, coming to PC and also being updated for their version on the 360, which Zeboyd revealed some of the additions that will be taken in. One addition which we've known about is a new game mode called Cthulhu's Angels, which will change a number of things in the game, but the overall structure will still remain the same. Some of these ideas are being taken up from the fans, as mentioned previously in our video, and they are considering such things as a monster bestiary, designer notes, a harder difficulty mode, a super hard optional dungeon, and even, yes, bromides. Zeboyd, make it happen. I want another game with those in it. Preferably with some stat boost with them like in the first Lunar. Also, the game may be released out on Steam and they're looking for a late March, early April release for their enhanced version. Ballin Out of Control trailer. Created on IndieCade and being created by Impromptu Games, Ballin Out of Control puts you in charge of a glowing metal sphere. You're on an apparently deserted island with several mysterious glass and steel cubes. In each of these cubes, you will seem to have to solve a few different puzzles, or one that will take up the entire cube. The game is planned to initially come to Windows, and later it may come to the iOS devices. A Valley Without Wind, Enemies and Spells. We told you last week about a game called A Valley Without Wind. About a week later, we get to see a new video which includes some little improvements. What's new and can be seen is that the player now has a fireball spell. There are now skeleton enemies. Why skeletons? I guess you gotta find out. And that there are now buildings in the world. And not just those huge skyscrapers. They appear to be gone. Amnesia: The Dark Descent gets retail release. Okay, I'm a little behind on this announcement. Okay, it's more like I'm behind a little bit by 3 weeks, but better late than never. Amnesia, an award-winning survival horror game that I have yet to start, has been released on Steam for a while, like several other indie games out there. Late last month, a page popped up on Best Buy showing a retail box version of the game. While this was believed to be fake at first, it was later confirmed by the guys at Frictional that it was indeed true. You can now purchase a box version of it on Amazon, but you'll have to wait till the 22nd for it to be in stores. Pota and Kabinga on the iOS. I so don't know if I said that right. But anyways, this game is available now for 99 cents on the App Store, which you'll have been able to play for free online previously, and it was also featured at last year's Gamma 4, whose theme was a one-button control scheme. In the game, you control a horse and its rider, who was swallowed by a dragon in the middle of the desert. So you have to control both of these characters at the same time. You press on the device to make the rider jump, and let it go to make the horse jump. It's supposed to be simple, but I doubt it's as simple as it sounds. Love and Order demo out now and pre-order available. No, this isn't a weird parody of crime drama series Law and Order. The game centers around you controlling Dana LaRose, a new secretary at the Crown Attorney's office. The game is part work simulator and dating sim. It's up to you to balance your workload and stress levels, such as deciding to work overtime, talking to a witness, and choosing which attorney to work on a case, and playing games or something along those lines to keep the stress levels down. If you're too stressed, you will crack under the pressure. I really don't know what happens whenever that does happen. You can also decide to date 4 of your co-workers. 3 are guys and 1 is a girl. Currently, you can get a demo of the game, and if you like it, you can pre-order it now for $19.99. New Anomaly Warzone Earth trailer. Described as a reverse tower defense game, Anomaly is putting you in the shoes of the waves of troops that must make it through a war zone filled with enemy towers. Unlike in TD games where the waves never fire back, you will have the option to fire back to make sure you can survive. As well as that, you can use special abilities to destroy them faster, such as dropping bombs on them from above. It's expected to come out sometime soon for PC, Mac, and iOS devices. And that was the last piece of indie game news that I could find for the last week. If you don't know, each and every Wednesday, unless I get busy or YouTube doesn't like me, we'll have another video in this series, which of course will be telling you about some of the latest news in the indie game world. And also on Sundays we have our Browser Games of the Week videos, which will be telling you about some of the better browser games that come out during the week. And we're changing the format a little this Sunday, and maybe it'll stick. And if you want to be up to date on all of these videos, or our previews, reviews, giveaways, contests, or whatever we decide to do, just subscribe to us. It only takes one click of that subscribe button.
So